Today, President Trump attacked Bob Mueller by name, which doesn't always happen, and also defended Vladimir Putin. I'll read it to you. Russia continues to say they had nothing to do with meddling in our election. I guess take their word for it. Trump also stepping up an assault on the Russia probe itself.
And then they go after us for a Russian hoax. It's a witch hunt hoax. Isn't it incredible when you talk about a double standard?
Bob Mueller doesn't respond to this kind of thing, but we can follow his work. ABC News reporting he's now eyeing some prominent Russian oligarchs who apparently had VIP access to Trump inauguration events. Mueller also subpoenaing Roger Stone's former aide. Trump's allies in Congress following his lead dramatically today. This was a big event, a series of attacks on Mueller's boss, Rod Rosenstein.
You know, they talk about the Mueller investigation. It's really the Rosenstein investigation. You appointed Mueller. You're supervising Mueller.
There's an old saying that justice delayed is justice denied. I think right now all of us are being denied. Whatever you got, finish it the hell up, because this country is being torn apart.
The judge that heard Mike Flynn's case, why'd you try to hide that from us?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to respond. I've heard you make those sort of allegations publicly on TV.
I got it right here.
And if you let me respond, sir.
Mr. Chairman, he should be given
Right
the
here.
opportunity.
Now, Mr. Jordan,
answer.
It's redacted.
I am the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. Okay? I'm not the person doing the redacting. And my job is to make sure that we respond to your concerns. We have, sir. Now, I've appointed Mr. Lausch, who is managing that production. And my understanding is it's actually going very well, sir. So I appreciate your concerns.
Again, I think the House of Representatives is going to say otherwise.
But your use of this to attack me personally
Why did you?
is
It's not
deeply wrong.
personal.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. May the witness be permitted to answer the question?
It's not personal.
I'm joined by Nick Ackerman, former Watergate special prosecutor, and Guy Lewis, a federal prosecutor who worked with Mueller, Comey, and the man you saw there, Rod Rosenstein. How do you think Mr. Rosenstein did today? That is about as heated as we ever see him get in a public forum.
I got to tell you, I have not seen Rod get that frustrated. Frankly, you could see the anger on his face. If you watch the entire hearing, I think he was called at various times a liar, a cheat, a cover-up. I mean, clearly, I think my best guess is between the president and, again, remarkably, members of his own party, which I assume, you know, Nick will tell you, even in Watergate errors, that didn't happen. I mean, they've thrown the rule book out the window, they've taken off the gloves, and they're going after anybody involved in this investigation.
Nick, I'll play a little more of the exchanges. It was very obviously political. It was very obviously a partisan attempt to rough up Mr. Rosenstein, because I think the reasonable inference is not that Rosenstein's doing such a terrible job that the work itself would undermine him, but rather that he or Mueller may be finding something that hurts the Republican side. Here was another exchange about the ongoing investigation.
Mr. Attorney General, do you believe, as Donald Trump indicated, that the investigation of which you have read, the Inspector General's report, has vindicated Mr. Trump as relates to collusion, or is the investigation ongoing?
There is an ongoing investigation, yes.
And it's not concluded?
Correct.
Of course it's not concluded. There are so many different avenues to follow here. The idea that this investigation is going to be completed overnight is absurd. Mueller has only been in office a little over a year. Already a number of people have been indicted, organizations have been indicted, people have pled guilty. This is how you build a case. The idea that the Justice Department works on a 24 news cycle and suddenly comes up with charges immediately is totally contrary to our rule of law, the way the Justice Department works, the way they put together cases. They have to prove their cases beyond a reasonable doubt. To do that kind of a case and put that kind of a case together, you don't do it overnight. You have to put people in a grand jury. You've got to take testimony. I mean, we, as we sit here now, have no idea where this is all going at this point. We don't know where it's going to end. But it's not going to happen overnight. And what's happening here is an absolute outrage. Either they're trying to undermine the investigation completely, or on top of that, they're also trying to pollute the jury pool that's out there that's going to be assembled very shortly to consider the case against Paul Manafort. I mean, the idea that our own government is trying to pollute that jury pool against the government is totally unprecedented, and I don't think it's ever occurred in our history before.
Yeah, and Guy, what did you think? I don't know if you saw the outtake there of Trey Gowdy kind of leaning back, loose and tie, long night before the committee hearing. And of all the people, it's a large committee. They can apportion the questions as they want. When I worked in the Senate, sometimes there'd be a strategy on that. I guess they gave him the justice delayed is justice denied question when he had Benghazi going triple the length of the Mueller probe with far less results to date.
Yeah, Ari, there's no question, really, if you YouTube Trey Gowdy and watch him. The guy is an effective cross-examiner. He knows how to do it. He knows how to find that little weakness, to open that door just a little bit, to go in, and once he smells a little blood in the water, he knows how to go after it. And look, there is some ammunition in this case, whether it's the FBI agents who were, frankly, sending inappropriate texts back and forth.
On FBI devices, sure.
Exactly. So there is some ammunition. And so they've taken that, and they've taken off the gloves, and they've started just hitting in the face as hard as they can.
And you said YouTube, Trey Gowdy, that's your hot tip today?
Listen, the one you did on the rapper, which I loved, and Trey Gowdy on cross-examination. That's my recommendation.
Well, I've been YouTubing dog videos, and apparently I'm using YouTube the wrong way. Guy Lewis with the good ideas for when you have spare time, and Nick Ackerman. Thank you both, gentlemen. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.